Ju Kim walked through the hallways of Hansong Academy with her eyes down. The shiny floors reflected her small figure as she moved quickly between classes. She held her books tight against her chest, like a shield. "There she goes again," whispered Hyunjin Park to her friends. "The weird girl who talks in her sleep." Laughter spread through the group of popular students. Juwoo's cheeks burned red, but she kept walking. This was normal for her now. Every day brought new jokes and whispers. In class, Juwoo sat in the back corner. The teacher was talking about history, but Juwoo's mind was somewhere else. A sharp pain hit behind her eyes. These headaches came often now. When they did, strange pictures flashed in her mind. Stars, planets, vast ships moving through darkness. "Juwoo, are you listening?" The teacher's voice broke through her thoughts. "Yes, Teacher Sunggo," she said quickly. "Then what did I just say about the Three Kingdoms period?" Juwoo's mind went blank. More laughter filled the room. "As I thought," said Teacher Sunggo. "Pay attention or leave my class." When the bell rang, Juwoo gathered her things quickly. A foot stuck out, and she fell, her papers flying everywhere. "Oops, sorry," said Hyunjin with a fake smile. "I didn't see you there. Maybe because you're so forgettable." As Juwoo picked up her papers, a boy named Do-yeon Lee stopped to help. "Don't listen to them," he said. "Hyunjin is just angry because her boyfriend keeps looking at you." "No one looks at me," Juwoo said. "I do," said Do-yeon with a kind smile. "And I think you're more interesting than all of them." Do-yeon was the only one who talked to Juwoo at school. He was smart with computers and didn't care what others thought. Juwoo was glad to have one friend. They walked together to the lunchroom. While they ate, Juwoo's head began to hurt again. "Another headache?" Do-yeon asked. Juwoo nodded. "It feels like something is trying to break out of my brain. Maybe you should see a doctor. My aunt took me to 3 doctors. They say nothing is wrong." Juwoo lived with her aunt since her parents died when she was a baby. Her aunt was kind but always busy with work. "What do you see when it happens?" Do-yeon asked. Juwoo looked around to make sure no one could hear. "Stars, ships, people with strange faces. Sometimes I'm giving orders, and everyone listens. It feels so real, Do-yeon. Like memories, not dreams." Do-yeon's eyes got wide. "That's crazy?" "I know." Juwoo sighed. "That's why I don't tell anyone else." Outside the school, a black car was parked across the street. A man in a dark suit watched the building. He wore sunglasses and spoke quietly into a small device on his wrist. "Sir, the energy readings are stronger today. 2 spikes in the last hour." A voice answered through the device. "Is she showing any signs, Commander Tayo?" "Not yet, but the suppressors are failing faster than we expected. Keep watching. If she begins to remember, bring her in immediately. And if she fully awakens..." There was a long pause. "Then may the stars help us all." Commander Taeho put his hand down and continued to watch the school. Inside, Juwoo laughed at something Do-yeon said, looking for a moment like any normal teenage girl. But as they walked to their next class, Juwoo stopped suddenly. Her eyes went unfocused, and she whispered words in a language that hadn't been spoken on Earth in centuries. Do-yeon stared at her. "Juwoo, what did you just say?" She blinked, confused. "I didn't say anything." Behind them, Hyunjin had been walking with her friends. "See, total freak," she said loudly. Juwoo walked faster, trying to escape. But as the day went on, the stars in her mind grew brighter, calling to her across time and space, waiting for their empress to remember and return. "Everyone stay together," Teacher Minna called as the students of Hansong Academy followed her through the Seoul National Museum. "Remember, your report on this trip is due next week." Juwoo walked beside Do-yeon, enjoying the quiet of the museum after the noisy bus ride. Her headache had been gone for 2 days, and she felt almost normal. Look at this. Do-hyun pointed to a display of old space equipment. The first Korean astronaut's gloves. Ju-woo smiled, but her eyes were drawn to a different room. Something was pulling her there, like a magnet. Without thinking, she walked away from the group. Ju-woo? Do-hyun called, but she didn't hear him. The room was dark except for lights on strange objects in glass cases. The sign said, "Unknown artifacts." Most were labeled as possibly meteorite fragments or unidentified metal alloy. One small black stone in the center seemed to glow, though there was no light on it. Ju-woo felt her heart beat faster as she moved closer. The stone had strange marks that looked like writing. "Don't touch the displays," a voice said, but it was too late. Ju-woo's finger brushed the glass, and the world exploded in her mind. She was standing on a bridge of a massive ship, stars streaking past huge windows. People with blue-tinted skin bowed to her. Her hands, longer and with an extra finger, pointed to a map of stars. "Set course for the Draz system," she heard herself say in that strange language. "The resistance will fall by nightfall." A flash, and she saw herself walking over burning ruins of the city, bodies at her feet. She felt nothing but cold satisfaction as she raised a weapon that shot black energy. "Are you all right?" An old man in a museum coat was holding her arm. Ju-woo realized she had fallen to her knees. Yes. "Sorry," she whispered. The man looked at her strangely. "You were speaking. Never mind. Please rejoin your group." As Ju-woo walked away, the man took out a small device like the one Commander Tahoe had used. He snapped a picture of her, then spoke quietly. "It's her. The reaction to artifact XJ7 confirms it." That night, Ju-woo couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw stars and planets and her own hands giving orders that killed millions. She sat up in bed, shaking and sweating. "It's just dreams," she told herself. "Just strange dreams." But why did they feel like memories? Across the city, the museum curator, Dr. Young-soo, sat in a dimly lit room with Commander Tahoe. "The readings are off the charts," Dr. Young-soo said, showing data on a screen. When she touched the case, the artifact inside responded. It recognized her. "It's impossible," Commander Tahoe said, but his face showed fear. "The suppressors should have held for another decade at least." "Well, they're failing. Look at her brain activity." Dr. Young-soo pointed to a scan. These patterns matched the historical records of Empress Jihai perfectly. "If she fully awakens, the Empire will find her," Dr. Young-soo finished. 300 years of hiding her. And now it could all fall apart because of a school trip. Commander Tahoe looked at a photo of Ju-woo. "She has no idea what she is, what she was. Is that good or bad?" "Both," said Commander Tahoe. "When she remembers everything, the sweet girl who's been bullied might not forgive humanity so easily." The next day at school, Ju-woo was quiet and pale. Her dreams had kept her awake all night. "You look terrible," Do-hyun said when he saw her. Before she could answer, Hyunjin's voice cut through the hallway. "Hey everyone. Weird girl freaked out at the museum yesterday." She was talking to herself in some made-up language. Students gathered around, laughing. "Did you have another vision?" Hyunjin mocked. "Maybe you were an alien queen in another life." The words hit too close to what Ju-woo had seen. Her face went white. Hyunjin saw this and smiled wider. "Look, I hit a nerve." "What's wrong, Ju-woo? Abducted by aliens lately?" As the laughter grew louder, Ju-woo felt the headache return, stronger than ever before. Somewhere deep in her mind, something ancient and powerful was beginning to wake up. Ju-woo's headaches got worse over the next week. She could barely pay attention in class. Strange people began to appear at school. A new janitor who never seemed to clean anything. A substitute teacher who watched her too closely. A new student who asked too many questions. Do-hyun noticed it first. "Don't look now," he whispered at lunch. "But that man by the door has been here 3 days in a row." He's not a parent or a teacher. Jiwoo glanced over. The man quickly looked away. Maybe it's nothing, she said, but she felt uneasy. It's not nothing, Do-hyun said. And yesterday I saw a woman taking pictures of you during gym class. After school, Do-hyun told Jiwoo to go home without him. He had a plan. He hid in the computer lab until the school was empty. Then he took out tools from his backpack. Let's see what's really going on, he said to himself. Do-hyun was good with computers and electronics. He had built his first computer when he was 10. Now he used a small device he had made to scan for signals. It beeped near the fire alarm in the hallway outside Jiwoo's classroom. I knew it, he whispered. Inside the fire alarm was a tiny camera. Do-hyun found 5 more cameras around the school, all pointed at places where Jiwoo spent time. The next day, Do-hyun followed the new janitor to the parking lot. The man got into a black car like the one Commander Taeho drove. Do-hyun took a picture with his phone, then ran to the car and put a small tracker under it before it drove away. That night, Do-hyun's tracker showed the car at a building downtown. He told his parents he was going to a study group, then took the bus to the address. It was a plain office building with no name on it. Do-hyun waited until someone opened the door, then slipped inside behind them. He followed the sound of voices to a room where the door was slightly open. Her readings are getting stronger. A woman's voice said, We can't keep her in the dark much longer. It's too dangerous to tell her, said a man. Do-hyun recognized Commander Taeho's voice from following him. If she knows who she is before we're ready, the shock could fully awaken Empress Ji-hye. Do-hyun gasped. They were talking about Jiwoo. The door suddenly opened. A strong hand grabbed Do-hyun and pulled him inside. We have a visitor, said the janitor from school, holding Do-hyun by his collar. Commander Taeho stood up from a table covered with screens showing Jiwoo's house, school, and even medical scans of her brain. Do-hyun Lee, Commander Taeho said. I should have known you'd cause trouble. Who are you people? Why are you watching Jiwoo? Do-hyun demanded, trying to sound brave. A woman stepped forward. She wore a uniform with strange symbols. We are the Stellar Preservation Corps. We protect Earth from threats beyond your understanding. And Jiwoo is a threat. Do-hyun couldn't believe it. She's just a girl who gets bullied and has headaches. Commander Taeho sighed. Sit down, Do-hyun. Since you're here, you might as well learn the truth. Maybe you can help us. Do-hyun sat nervously. Jiwoo Kim is not who she thinks she is. Commander Taeho began. The body is human, yes. But inside, he pointed to the brain scans on the screen, is the consciousness of Empress Ji-hye, the most feared conqueror the galaxy has ever known. That's impossible, Do-hyun said. 300 years ago, the woman continued, Empress Ji-hye ruled half the galaxy. She destroyed anyone who opposed her. Billions died. Then, at the height of her power, she vanished. Our ancestors found her dying after a battle, Commander Taeho said. They used ancient technology to preserve her consciousness and hide it in a human bloodline. Every few generations, a child is born who carries her. We watch these children. We make sure Ji-hye never awakens. Do-hyun thought about Jiwoo's dreams and headaches. She's remembering, isn't she? Commander Taeho nodded. And if she fully awakens, her empire will find her. They've been searching for centuries. If they find her here, Earth becomes a battleground. Do-hyun finished quietly. As they spoke, across the city, Jiwoo woke up screaming from another dream of conquest and destruction. Outside her window, stars twinkled innocently. But in the vast darkness between them, something was moving toward Earth, drawn by a faint signal it had waited 3 centuries to detect. Do-hyun couldn't sleep that night. How could he face Jiwoo at school knowing what he now knew? Commander Taeho had made him promise not to tell her anything. It would be too dangerous. Act normal, Commander Taeho had warned. We're moving her to a safe place soon. The next morning, Jiwoo looked worse than ever. Dark circles showed under her eyes. Her hands shook slightly. Bad dreams again? Do-hyun asked, trying to sound normal. I don't want to talk about it, she said. They're getting worse. Last night, I saw myself giving orders to destroy an entire planet. Who dreams things like that? Do-hyun swallowed hard. Just dreams, Ju-woo. That's all. The lie felt heavy in his mouth. During lunch, Gunjin and her friends surrounded Ju-woo's table. Do-hyun was in the lunch line, watching helplessly. Hey, Empress Weird, Gunjin said loudly. I heard you screaming in gym class yesterday. Having another freak attack. Leave me alone, Ju-woo said. Her head was pounding. What are you going to do about it? Call your alien friends. Hunjin knocked Ju-woo's lunch tray off the table. Oops. Clumsy me. Stop it, Ju-woo whispered. Something was building inside her. A pressure. A power. Make me. Hyunjin pushed Ju-woo hard. She fell to the floor. The pressure in Ju-woo's head exploded. A wave of energy burst from her body. It threw Hyunjin and everyone nearby backward. Tables slid across the floor. Food trays flew into the air. The lunchroom went silent. Everyone stared at Ju-woo. Ju-woo looked at her hands in horror. What had she done? How had she done it? Monster. Hyunjin screamed from where she had landed. Ju-woo ran. She pushed through the doors and kept running, out of school, down the street. She didn't know where to go. Her mind was filled with flashes of stars, battles, strange worlds. A black car screeched to a stop beside her. The door opened. Commander Taeho reached out a hand. Ju-woo, come with me. You're in danger. Who are you? She backed away. Someone who knows what's happening to you, he said. Someone who can help. Behind them, more cars appeared. Men in dark uniforms got out. We don't have time, Commander Taeho said. Please. Terrified and confused, Ju-woo got into the car. They drove to a building downtown, the same one Do-hyun had found. Inside, they took Ju-woo to a room with strange machines. Dr. Young-soo from the museum was there. Ju-woo, he said gently. Please sit down. We have much to tell you. What's happening to me? Tears ran down her face. Your headaches, your dreams. They're not dreams, Dr. Young-soo said. They're memories. That's impossible, Ju-woo whispered. 300 years ago, Commander Taeho said, a being called Empress Ji-ha ruled half the galaxy. She was brilliant and cruel. When she was defeated in battle, our ancestors preserved her consciousness. Dr. Young-soo continued, that consciousness has been passed down, hidden in human bodies. You are the current vessel. Ju-woo shook her head. I'm just a high school student. You are, Commander Taeho said. But you're also more. The barriers we placed in your mind are breaking down. Ji-ha is awakening inside you. Why tell me this now? Ju-woo asked. Because you used her powers today, Dr. Young-soo said. That energy shield in the lunchroom. That was Ji-ha's power. And worse, using it sent a signal. A signal. To her empire, Commander Taeho showed her a screen with a map of stars. A red dot moved toward Earth. They've been looking for her for centuries. Now they found you. Ju-woo felt sick. What happens if I fully remember? Commander Taeho looked sad. Ju-woo might be lost. Ji-ha might take control. And if her empire comes here, Earth becomes either her new throne or a battlefield, he said. Neither is good for humanity. Ju-woo looked at her hands, ordinary human hands that had somehow thrown people across a room. Help me, she whispered. I don't want to hurt anyone else. In space, the ship from Ji-ha's empire moved faster, drawn by the energy burst. Inside, figures with blue skin and 6 fingers prepared weapons and landing craft. Their lost empress had been found, and they would let nothing stand in their way. 3 days passed. Ju-woo stayed in a room at the Stellar Preservation Corps building. She learned about her past as Empress Ji-ha through tests and talks with Dr. Young-soo. Each day, more memories came back. How many people did I kill? She asked Dr. Youngsu. Jihe's wars caused billions of deaths, he said gently. But you are not her, Jiwoo. You have her memories, but you have your own soul. Jiwoo wasn't sure that was true. When the memories came, she felt Jihe's feelings too. The pride, the cold anger, the hunger for power. In another room, Commander Taeho watched space monitors with his team. The red dot was getting closer. Time until they reach Earth, he asked. 6 hours, a woman answered. It's a scout ship, not a warship. Maybe 20 crew. Small but dangerous, Commander Taeho said. Prepare the defenses and bring the boy. An hour later, Do-hyun arrived, escorted by 2 guards. Is Jiwoo okay? He asked right away. She's adjusting, Commander Taeho said. But we have bigger problems now. He showed Do-hyun the space monitor. The red dot was almost at Earth. They're coming for her, Do-hyun said. Yes, and we need your help. Jiwoo trusts you. Before Do-hyun could ask what they wanted, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed. Sir, a guard shouted. The ship just jumped. It's in Earth's atmosphere. How? Commander Taeho looked shocked. Our detection system should have. They bypassed everything, the woman said. They're landing on the roof of this building. Commander Taeho grabbed Do-hyun's arm. Get to Jiwoo. Take her to the safe room on level B3. Code 7729. Go now. Do-hyun ran through hallways as people rushed around with weapons. He found Jiwoo's room and burst in. We have to go, he said, grabbing her hand. They're here. Who's here? Jiwoo asked, but deep down she knew. They ran to the elevator. As the doors closed, they heard a massive boom from above. The building shook. The lights flickered. What's happening? Jiwoo asked as they descended. Your empire found you, Do-hyun said. They landed on the roof. The elevator stopped at B3. They ran down a hall to a heavy door. Do-hyun punched in 7729, and it opened. The safe room had thick walls and no windows. There were supplies, beds, and monitors showing different parts of the building. On one screen, they saw the main lobby. Commander Taeho stood with 20 guards, all pointing weapons at the elevator. The elevator doors opened. A tall woman with blue-tinted skin and 6 fingers walked out. She wore armor that seemed to glow slightly. Behind her were 4 soldiers with strange weapons. I am Ambassador Minhee of the Galactic Conqueror, she said in perfect Korean. We know Empress Jihe is here. Give her to us, or we will take her. Earth is protected by galactic law. Commander Taeho said, You have no right to invade. Ambassador Minhee smiled coldly. Laws mean nothing when it comes to Jihe. She is our ruler, our god. We have searched for 3 centuries. She is not your empress anymore, Commander Taeho said. She is a human girl named Jiwoo Kim. A vessel only, Ambassador Minhee said. The body does not matter. The mind inside is what we seek. In the safe room, Jiwoo watched the screen with horror. This is because of me, she whispered. On the screen, Commander Taeho stood firm. Leave Earth now. This is your only warning. Ambassador Minhee raised her hand. Her soldiers raised their weapons. You have 1 Earth day to surrender Jihe to us, she said. After that, we will tear this planet apart to find her. She turned to leave, then stopped. And know this, we are only the first. I sent a message home when we detected her. The fleet is coming. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, all for her. As Ambassador Minhee returned to the elevator, Jiwoo sank to her knees. I need to go with them, she said. I can't let Earth be destroyed because of me. No, Do-hyun said. That's what Jihe would do. Sacrifice others. What would Jiwoo do? Before she could answer, the building shook again. Alarms blared. On the monitor, they saw soldiers running. Commander Taeho was shouting orders. What now? Do-hyun asked. A message flashed on the screen. Second ship landed. Unknown faction. All personnel evacuate. The safe room door suddenly slid open. Dr. Youngsu stood there, bleeding from a cut on his head. "We have to move," he said. "They found us. Both groups are coming for you. We have minutes at most." "This way," Dr. Youngsu said, leading Jiwoo and Doyun through a narrow tunnel. "This leads to the city subway system." They ran through the dark passage. Behind them, they heard explosions and shouting. "Who is the second group?" Doyun asked as they ran. "We don't know for sure," Dr. Youngsu said, "but they fired on Ambassador Minhee's ship. They may be enemies of the Conqueror." After 20 minutes of running, they'd reached a door. It opened into an empty subway maintenance room. They slipped out onto the platform where normal people waited for trains, unaware of aliens fighting above. "Where do we go now?" Jiwoo asked. Her head was pounding with more memories breaking through. Dr. Youngsu handed her a small device. "This will hide your energy signature for a while. Go somewhere safe. I must go back and help Commander Tayo." "But where is safe?" Doyun asked. Dr. Youngsu looked sad. "I don't know. Good luck." He turned and disappeared back into the tunnel. Jiwoo and Doyun boarded the next train. They sat quietly, trying to look normal, while Jiwoo's mind filled with more memories of Jihe's life. "I remember how it started," she whispered to Doyun. "Jihe was once good. She united systems that were at war. She built schools and hospitals on poor planets." "What changed her?" Doyun asked. "Power, and something called the Void Essence. It was a dark energy she found. It made her stronger, but also colder and crueler." Jiwoo rubbed her temples. "I can feel her thoughts mixing with mine now. It's getting harder to know which are my feelings and which are hers." They rode for an hour, changing trains twice. Finally, they found a small hotel far from the city center. "We can stay here tonight," Doyun said. "I have some money saved." They got a room with 2 beds. Jiwoo sat by the window, looking at the stars that now seemed threatening. "I should turn myself in," she said. "Ambassador Minhee will leave Earth alone if she has me." "And what happens to you?" Doyun asked. "You heard Dr. Youngsu. If Jihe fully awakens, Jiwoo might be gone forever. Better me than the whole planet." "There must be another way," Doyun said. A knock at the door made them both jump. "Who is it?" Doyun called, moving protectively in front of Jiwoo. "Room service," the voice answered. "We didn't order anything," Doyun said. The door burst open. They expected aliens or soldiers. Instead, Hyunjin Park stood there. "I knew it was you too," she said, walking in and closing the door. "How did you find us?" Jiwoo asked in shock. Hyunjin held up her phone. "I put a tracker on Doyun at school. After what happened in the lunchroom, I wanted to know what was going on. You followed us." Doyun was angry. "Do you know how dangerous that is?" "I know exactly how dangerous it is," Hyunjin said. Then she did something surprising. She pulled out a small device like the one Commander Tayo used. "My mother works for Earth Defense Network. I know who you are, Empress." Jiwoo felt cold. "You knew all this time?" "Not until the lunchroom," Hyunjin said. "Then I told my mother what I saw. She told me everything." "So you came to capture me?" Jiwoo asked. "No, I came to help you." Hyunjin's face was serious. "My mother says the Conqueror will destroy you, and the other group might be even worse. They might be void worshippers, people who follow the same dark power that corrupted you before. Why would you help me?" Jiwoo asked. "You hate me." "I was jealous of you," Hyunjin admitted. "Even when you were bullied, you stayed kind. People liked you for who you were. I needed to be mean to get attention." Doyun looked suspicious. "How do we know we can trust you?" "You don't," Hyunjin said. "But I have this." She pulled out a bigger device. "It's a stronger energy mask. It will hide all 3 of us. And I know a safe place, my mother's emergency bunker." Jiwoo felt another memory surface. Jihai had once trusted a close advisor who betrayed her, but she had also refused help when she needed it most. "We'll go with you," Jiwoo decided. "We need all the help we can get." As they left the hotel, Ambassador Minhee's soldiers were searching the subway. The unknown second group was spreading through the city. And in Jiwoo's mind, Empress Jihai was getting stronger by the hour, whispering plans of conquest and revenge that were becoming harder to ignore. Hyunjin's mother's bunker was under an old warehouse. It had thick walls, food, water, and beds. Most importantly, it had screens showing what was happening in the city. "It's getting worse," Hyunjin said, pointing at the screens. Ambassador Minhee's soldiers were searching every building. The second group, who Hyunjin called Void Worshippers, were fighting both humans and the Conqueror forces. Normal people were getting hurt. "All because of me," Jiwoo said quietly. That night, Jiwoo's sleep was filled with more memories. She saw Jihad finding the dark energy called Void Essence. She saw how it changed her from a good leader to a cruel empress. She felt Jihai's power growing inside her, but also her mistakes. When Jiwoo woke up, something was different. She could feel new abilities in her mind. "I can read thoughts now," she told Do-hyun and Hyunjin at breakfast. "I can sense people's feelings." "That's creepy," Hyunjin said. "I can also move things without touching them." Jiwoo focused on a cup, and it slid across the table. "And I know things I never learned. Military strategies. Languages I've never heard." "Jihai's knowledge," Do-hyun said, looking worried. "Is she taking over?" Jiwoo shook her head. "No, it's strange. I'm still me, but I can access her abilities now. It's like having a library in my mind that I can choose to use." On the screens, they saw news reports about terrorist attacks and gas leaks, the government's way of hiding the alien truth. "People are dying," Jiwoo said. "This has to stop." She closed her eyes and reached out with her new abilities. She could sense Commander Taho hiding with his remaining forces. She could feel Ambassador Minhee's cold determination. And she could sense the Void Worshippers' dark hunger. "I need to end this," Jiwoo said, opening her eyes. "I have a plan." "What kind of plan?" Do-hyun asked. "I'm going to surrender to Ambassador Minhee." "No," both Do-hyun and Hyunjin shouted. "Listen," Jiwoo said. "I'll do it on my terms. I'll offer to go with them if they leave Earth in peace." "You can't trust them," Hyunjin said. "My mother says the Concordat sees Earth as primitive. They won't keep their word." "I know. That's why I need your help." Jiwoo looked at both of them seriously. "I need to contact Commander Taho first." Using her new telepathic abilities, Jiwoo reached out to Commander Taho. He was surprised but agreed to her plan after she explained it. The next morning, Jiwoo stood on the roof of a tall building in the center of the city. Do-hyun and Hyunjin waited hidden nearby. Jiwoo had removed the energy mask, letting her signal broadcast clearly. "I'm here," she called out loud, and also with her mind. "Ambassador Minhee, I wish to speak with you." It took only 10 minutes for a small ship to appear. It landed on the roof, and Ambassador Minhee stepped out with 4 guards. "Empress Jihai," she bowed. "At last." "I am Jiwoo Kim," she said firmly, "but I carry Jihai's memories and powers." "The vessel is unimportant," Ambassador Minhee said. "Your people have waited centuries for your return." "My people?" Jiwoo asked. "What happened to my empire after I disappeared?" "It fractured," Ambassador Minhee said. "Some systems claimed you were dead. Others, like the Concordat, kept faith. We knew you would return." "And the Void Worshippers?" Ambassador Minhee's face darkened. "Heretics who worship the power that corrupted you. They don't want you back. They want to destroy you and take that power for themselves." Jiwoo nodded. "I will come with you willingly, but I have conditions. Earth must be protected. No humans will be harmed." "Agreed," Ambassador Minhee said quickly, too quickly. Juwu could read her thoughts now. The ambassador planned to take her to their ship, then destroy all witnesses. Once Jihei was fully awakened, she would lead them to conquer Earth anyway. "You're lying," Juwu said. Ambassador Minhe's face hardened. "You've grown soft in this human body." The real Jihai would understand that primitive planets are meant to be conquered. "Perhaps," Juwu said, "but I am not only Jihai anymore." As they spoke, the Void Worshipper's ship appeared in the sky above them. It opened fire on Ambassador Minhe's ship. The roof exploded around them as the battle began. The roof exploded in fire and smoke. Ambassador Minhe shouted orders to her guards as they returned fire at the Void Worshipper's ship. Juwu dove behind a wall as energy blasts hit all around her. "Juwu," Dohyun called from his hiding place. "Run." But Juwu didn't run. Instead, she closed her eyes and reached into Jihai's memories. She found what she needed, how to create an energy shield. She stood up and raised her hands. A blue bubble of light formed around her. Energy blasts from both ships hit the shield but couldn't break through. Ambassador Minhe stared in shock. "You can access her powers already." "I told you," Juwu said. "I am both Juwu and Jihai now." From the Void Worshipper's ship, 6 figures in black armor dropped to the roof. They carried weapons that glowed with dark purple energy. "Empress," one called out, "your time is over. The Void will have a new master." "Step away from her," Ambassador Minhe ordered. "She is our Empress." The leader of the Void Worshippers laughed. "Your Empress died centuries ago. All that remains is her power, and that power will be ours." They fired their weapons at Juwu's shield. The purple energy began to eat through the blue light. Juwu felt Jihei's knowledge surge forward. She knew she could destroy them all. She could call on the void essence that had corrupted Jihei, use it one more time. "No," she whispered to herself. "There must be another way." But the shield was failing. The Void Worshippers were closing in. Ambassador Minhe and her guards were wounded. Then, multiple explosions hit the Void Worshipper's ship. Commander Tayo and his forces had arrived, firing from nearby buildings. In that moment of distraction, Juwu dropped her shield and drew on Jihai's combat training. She moved with incredible speed, disarming the closest Void Worshipper and taking his weapon. "Everyone stop," she commanded, and her voice carried the power of Empress Jihai. Both sides paused, feeling the wave of authority in her words. "I am Empress Jihai," she said, "and I am Juwu Kim. I remember everything now." Ambassador Minhe struggled to her feet. "Then you know your empire needs you. Your people have waited for centuries." "Tell me truthfully," Juwu demanded. "What happened after I disappeared?" "War," Ambassador Minhe admitted. "Your generals fought each other. Billions died. The Concordat formed from systems that remained loyal to you. We've kept your memory alive, waiting for your return." The Void Worshipper leader laughed. "They made you a god, while others remembered you as a monster. The truth is you were neither, just a powerful being corrupted by the same force we now serve." Juwu looked at both sides. "You've been fighting for 300 years over my memory." "Your legacy," Ambassador Minhe corrected. "Your vision for the galaxy." Juwu shook her head. "I remember Jihei's vision now. It started as peace, but the void essence twisted it into conquest. I won't make that mistake again." Commander Taho's voice came through a speaker. "Juwu, reinforcements are coming. Hold on." But Juwu knew more fighting would only cause more death. She made a decision. "I will come with you, Ambassador," she said. "But not as your empress or your god. As a mediator. The fighting ends now." "Impossible," the Void Worshipper said. "The war has gone on too long." "I ended wars across 12 systems before," Juwu said, drawing on Jihai's memories. "I can do it again, but without the cruelty this time." Dohyun and Hyunjin had made their way to Juwu's side. "You can't go with them," Hyunjin said. "They'll try to control you, or destroy you." Do-Yun added. I know, Ju said, but I can't hide forever. Jihei's past is my responsibility now. Just then, the Void Worshippers attacked again. Their leader fired at Ambassador Minnie, trying to kill her. Without thinking, Ju threw herself in front of the blast. But instead of being hit, she absorbed the dark energy. For a moment, her eyes glowed purple, then returned to normal as she controlled the power. Everyone on the roof stared in amazement. She can control the Void Essence, the Void Worshipper whispered in fear. Ju stood tall, feeling both Jihei's power and her own human heart. I am not your enemy, she told both sides. I am not your god. I am something new. And I will end this war that has gone on far too long. 1 week after the battle on the roof, Ju stood in a large room at the United Nations building. World leaders sat around a table, their faces showing fear and wonder. Commander Tahoe stood beside her. On the other side was Ambassador Minnie, now treating Ju with cautious respect. This is unprecedented, said one world leader. Aliens, empires, and a teenage girl at the center of it all. I understand your fear, Ju said, but this is an opportunity for Earth. You are not alone in the universe, and now you have a voice. After she had controlled the Void Essence, both the Conqueror and the Void Worshippers had stepped back in shock. It gave Commander Tahoe's forces time to secure the area. In the days that followed, Ju had worked with Earth's governments to arrange this meeting. What guarantee do we have that these aliens won't attack us? Asked another leader. You have me, Ju said simply. I am of Earth now, and I will protect it. Ambassador Minnie stepped forward. The Conqueror accepts Ju Kim as the voice of Empress Jihai. We offer peace and trade with Earth. The leader of the Void Worshippers, who had also been invited, nodded. We too recognize her authority. The Void Essence answers to her alone. Ju looked at them both. I am not Empress Jihai as you knew her. I won't rule through fear or conquest. But I will help build peace between all our peoples. The meeting continued for hours. By the end, Earth had its first official contact with alien civilizations. Treaties were signed. Plans were made. When it was over, Ju walked outside with Do-Yun and Hyunjin. That was amazing, Do-Yun said. You just changed human history forever. Are you still you? Hyunjin asked carefully. Ju smiled. Yes, I have all of Jihai's memories and powers now, but my heart is still mine. The difference is I can choose which parts of her to keep. So what happens now? Do-Yun asked. Now comes the hard part, Ju said, building something that lasts. 3 years passed. Ju finished high school alongside Do-Yun and Hyunjin, but she also traveled to space several times, visiting worlds that once feared Empress Jihai. Each time, she showed them she was different, listening instead of commanding, helping instead of conquering. Earth changed too. New technologies came from the Conqueror. Knowledge of space and other worlds expanded. Humans prepared to join the wider galaxy. Ju created a new organization called the Stellar Bridge, with headquarters in Seoul. Do-Hyun led the technology division, using alien science to solve Earth's problems. Hyunjin became an ambassador to other worlds, her former meanness now channeled into strong diplomatic skills. On the 5th anniversary of first contact, Ju stood on the roof of the Stellar Bridge building. The stars above no longer seemed strange or threatening. Are you happy with your choice? Commander Tahoe asked, joining her on the roof. He was older now, his hair gray, but still dedicated to protecting Earth. Which choice? Ju asked. To be neither fully Jihai nor fully Ju, to live between worlds. Ju looked up at the stars. I am who I was meant to be. Jihei's power with Ju's heart. The students who mocked you back then, if they could see you now. Commander Tahoe said with a smile. They do see me, Ju said. Most of them work here now. Even bullies can change when the world changes around them. Far away, in what was once Jihei's empire, Stories spread of the Empress Reborn. Some expected her to return and rule again. Others feared a new age of conquest. What they got instead was something no one expected. A leader who used her power to connect rather than control, to heal rather than hurt. Systems that had fought for centuries began to work together. As she stood under Earth's night sky, Ju felt both of her lives in balance. The memories of conquest had faded, replaced by new memories of bridges built between worlds. "What are you thinking about?" Do-yeon asked, joining her on the roof. "About how being mocked as a nobody turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me." Ju said, "It taught me that power without kindness is empty." Together, they looked up at the stars that were now a promise instead of a threat, all because a girl who had once conquered empires had found something stronger than power. She had found herself.